Spotlight. I cannot believe you're on the fourth day. This has been great. If you are just tuning in, we have schools' top 25 programs every single day talking about their programs. We also have current students talking about their MBA experiences in student panels. And finally, we are also hosting admission consultants and experts to weigh in on your profiles. So join me in welcoming Sarah, Sally, and John from HEC Paris. Sarah, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Thanks so much for the introduction, and thanks for having us. So welcome everyone to the HEC Paris MBA session. Today, I'm here, the Director of Marketing of the MBA Programs at HEC Paris. I have two special guests who I will bring into the presentation as we go through. So I have Sally, who is a current MBA student, and I have Jeanne, who's a Marketing and Recruitment Manager. I'll talk a little bit more about it, but we have 4 dedicated marketing and recruitment managers across regions who are able to help you as you walk through your application process. So I'll let Jeanne tell you a bit about that later, and I'll be asking Sally all of the things you hopefully want to know, and then you'll also have a chance to ask questions at the end of the session. So let's kick it off. HEC Paris has a tradition of excellence. We were founded in 1881, and our degree programs cover MBA, Master's, PhD, and also executive education. And we have over 4,000 students on campus per year. We're really proud that we're ranked number 3 in the world for educating the greatest number of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. What this means to you is that maybe you have a slightly higher chance of becoming a CEO if you attend HEC Paris. Of course, you've probably consulted the rankings, so we're proud to be in the top 10 across all of the global rankings worldwide. What I would advise you if you're going to use the rankings is to look at what they measure so that you have the right school for you. We'll dive into this a little bit deeper. I'm sure you've already consulted them, but yeah, just make sure you know what they're measuring so you can choose the right measure for what you hope to get out of your MBA. All right, diversity is our richness and community is our strength. This is a quote from the dean of our school, Andrea Massini, and he says this because our class is so diverse. This year we have over 60 nationalities and under 300 students and 94% international. I think Sally is probably the best one to speak to this. Sally, can you tell us a little bit about your classmates, your group work, what you've seen in terms of the diversity on campus?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the things I was most impressed by when I came to school was seeing that it was a truly international experience. And it's one of the reasons that I wanted to come. I'm from the United States. It's one of the reasons I was drawn to an international program. And I would say it's not just in terms of region, but also in terms of our business experience. We all come from a very varied kind of experience. So it's diverse in many ways.
Great. Yeah, typically when you enter HEC, you'll be put in a group in different classes for maybe a semester per section. And usually you'll have a group of about 5 or 6 students, and they're probably from different professional backgrounds and also different nationalities. We'll talk a bit more about that later. This is our class profile. So we mentioned already that we have a small class size under 300 students, 6 years of work experience, 55 this year, even 60 nationalities, and truly international. The GMAT average is 690. Don't let that scare you off if you don't have a 690. We consider each and every person on an individual basis, and you could have a conversation with Jeanne or your recruitment and marketing manager to discuss your GMAT and if it makes sense with the rest of your application. At this point, I wanted to hear a little bit more maybe from Sally on why did you choose HEC, your background, what intake you're in. So we have 2 intakes. You can start in September or January. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your journey so far?
Sure. So I'm in the September intake. I come from a media background. So I was working in television for a few years before joining the MBA, which I would say is a bit of a different industry to be coming from. So I think that's been really interesting. Everyone has a different experience compared to me, especially. So that's been very interesting. I decided to come to HEC, as I was saying before, because I felt that it was a very international program. I think in the United States, there tends to be a large amount of people from the US, even though there can be a lot of international students as well. So for me, it was a really interesting opportunity to kind of get that in my education. And it's something I want to continue in my work. I love working in international settings, so this was a huge plus for me.
Super. So as mentioned before, you can start in September or January. Both intakes are have the same format, a similar curriculum, just in different timing. And both intakes actually at one point mix, and you have classes all together. I think the class size is pretty unique because I think, and Sally, you can tell me if you feel this or not, but you get to know pretty much everyone in your class. At the end of the year, you don't have tons of people around that you've never seen before.
Yeah, I would say so. We're separated into different sections, like of about maybe 60 students per section, and then those sections are switched through different terms so that you have different exposure to different students throughout the course of the term.
Great. We have on-campus housing, or you can choose to live in Paris. So personally, I live in Paris and commute. Jeanne lives just outside of Paris. And Sally, where did you choose to live? Did you choose to live on campus, or did you choose to commute from Paris, or both?
I'm off campus actually. So I was living with a partner, so I wanted to have a little bit of a city life. So I'm just in the outskirts of Paris.
Great. And Jeanne, do you want to tell us a little bit about the campus? Maybe describe our chateau or our lake or things that stand out for you?
Yeah, sure. So I think we're lucky to have a really large, bright green campus where you can find all the buildings for classes, but we also have student accommodation. So when you join the program, you can decide, like Sally, to live outside campus. You can live in Versailles, which is a nice big city, or in Paris, or you can live on campus because we have student accommodation for that. Around 70% of the class decide to live on campus, and you rent on a monthly basis. So you could also decide to switch in the middle of your program. We have also a large gym and a forest, like running trail, a lake, etc. And that really big space makes us able to host a super cool event called MBA Tournament. I think Sara and Sally will talk about it later. I would say as well, we have student restaurants, we have supermarkets just nearby, and we have a really nice chateau. Actually, the property, before it was a business school campus, used to be a property with a little castle and kind of forests around. So it's really nice. We can definitely share pictures later if you want to know more.
Yeah. It's we host a welcome dinner at the chateau for our incoming students and some special events over the year. But I know personally, I was very impressed and awed by it when I first saw it.
Yeah, and maybe also I can share a few words about where the campus is in itself. It's in a place called Paris-Saclay. So we are 17 kilometers southwest of Paris. And if you look around campus, it looks very green and a little bit like countryside feeling, but it's actually a very active zone for R&D investment in France. You'll find a lot of the top research center, like the top 3 engineer schools of France are nearby, research center of companies like Renault, the car manufacturer, or Danone, the yogurt company, or recently, a few months back, IBM, data company, set up their research center nearby.
Super. So you have all of your kind of, residential, the forest, et cetera, but we also have things going on in terms of campus life, and you can be a part whether you live on campus or not. We have over 40 professional and networking clubs. This would include the typical clubs you see across schools. So of course we have a consulting club, private equity, finance club, et cetera. My favorite club or club experiences that I've been a part of, it's the French Connection Club. This club is really dedicated to showing students the culture and life in France. So personally, I attended a trek with them to Hermes. So we were able to meet the top people in strategy of a notoriously private company and learn a little bit more. And then we went to where they make their bags, and we actually got to see the people who are making them. So this is just one example. We have a wine and cheese event with them, so you can learn which wines would go with cheeses or more about French foods. But I don't know, Sally, did you belong to any clubs? Do you have any club experiences that stood out for you over your past while on campus?
Yeah, I think my favorite experience so far has been the Trek opportunity that a lot of the clubs will organize. They usually have one in the fall semester and one in the spring. So I went with the marketing club on a trek to London, and it was very well organized. We were able to visit many different companies from many different industries, and it was a really exceptional opportunity, I think, not only for networking, but also just kind of exploration.
Nice. And Jeanne, have you heard of or attended any club events that stand out in your mind?
Yes. I must say I was impressed by the level of people you could meet. Like, for example, before I was working in the cosmetic industry, and since I joined HEC, I was able to meet, to see a speech of the CEO of L'Oréal, Jean-Paul Agon, who's an HEC alum. I also met the French general manager of Makeup Forever, who was working for L'Occitane brand before, because she was invited by the marketing club for a speech and discussion with the students. And there was like maybe 30 HEC students plus her. It was really kind of intimate, like a small group discussion. So it was really interesting. I also attended several speeches of ambassadors or people from different governments through the cultural weeks. I remember an event the Latin American student hosted through the Latin American Club, which was really interesting, a mix of conferences about geopolitical situation, economical situation in their respective countries. So that was really cool.
Wow. Yeah, every time I talk to someone, I hear about another extremely cool event that I wish I had attended. And you really, one of the things you'll see if you pursue an MBA program is you have to make choices about which ones you can attend because there's so much going on that's interesting. Jeanne briefly mentioned the culture weeks. So this is where students from any country in the world, they can come in and try to share and show their culture with other students. The most recent one I attended, I think, was either Japanese week, perhaps, or Latin America week. Typically, you have the main dishes, you have dancing, you have movies. Sally, did you attend? Maybe you went to the American one, the Thanksgiving one? Yeah.
I did. I helped plan that one. I go to all of the cultural weeks. They're my absolute favorite thing. There's always delicious food involved, which is my number one thing. So they're always really lovely. And yeah, we did do like a US Canadian week. So we had Thanksgiving, we had like a Canadian brunch with maple syrup and things like that. So it was really, really nice. It was a lovely experience.
Cool. We talked briefly about housing already. So it is a dedicated MBA dorm. So there are all MBAs in there. Typically, most students will stay there for the first 1 or 2 terms and then maybe move off campus depending on how they choose to manage the curriculum, which I'm going to show you really soon. We also welcome partners. We have a partners club. We do have partners housing. It's limited, but it's definitely available. And partners are involved in all kinds of ways and can come to many of the different events so that they can feel included in this experience. So as promised, this is what a 16-month MBA curriculum looks like for September. Just keep in mind for January, your specialization is in term 3 and your electives in term 4. It's exactly the same curriculum. It's just timed differently so that we can mix intakes. So term 1 and 2, that's learning the fundamentals of business. So holistically, how can you understand how each function works with each other? So it can be marketing to corporate finance, ethics and sustainability, accounting. So you have a broad range of topics. You also have some simulations and gaming within classes, and you have a lot of group work and a lot of hands-on cases. In term 3, that's when you can make the MBA your own and customize it. So you can choose either electives or electives and a project and or an internship, or you can do an exchange. And then in term 4, specialization or exchange. Maybe Sally, do you want to tell us a little bit about your choices in the customized phase and how it went in the fundamental phase and how it's going and exactly where you're at in terms of today in this chart?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's true what you said before, that we will always have tons of choices. And so there's tons of choices that you need to make, especially with the electives and this like customization portion. So currently I'm just about to finish term 3. I've chosen to do 8 electives. And in term 4, I've chosen to go on an international exchange. So yeah, it's been a really interesting experience so far. I love the ability to kind of choose whatever we want to do. The MBA project was also a really interesting opportunity if you have something that you want to focus on more in depth. And then of course, you know, the internship can kind of fit in. I'm not sure if you'll probably get into that later, but that's something that can also fit in around this time too. So it's really lovely to kind of have this chunk of the program to be able to kind of tailor it to your own interests and own curiosities and just explore a little bit more in depth.
Great. And we both, so Sally and I mentioned a little bit the exchange and double degree. Jeanne, do you want to tell us a little bit more?
I think Sarah's cut. Is it me? No, probably it's Sarah's connection. So she should be back in a minute. I guess you wanted to ask me a little bit about how you can just, yeah, Sarah, are you back?
Yes, sorry, I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just if you can tell us a little bit more about the exchange and double degree programs and how they work with the overall curriculum.
Yeah, sure. So what is really good with this customizable curriculum is that all the choices you have to make in terms of classes, exchange, internship happen in the second phase. So you really have the time, in term one, you arrive, you get to know everyone. You also meet the students of the previous class, so you can discuss and get some guidance from the academic team, from the career team member. You'll have a career coach, and from your classmates of the previous batch to really hear from them what's the best choice for you, who's the best teacher, which school they recommend, etc. Term 3, Term 4, you can take classes on HEC campus, or you can decide to go and take classes in one of the multiple partner schools we have. We partner with around 40 schools around the world, from USA to Asia, Australia also. So you can check the whole list on the website. You let us know, term 3 or term 4, you go for an exchange 4 months over there, and you validate credits from the partner school that you bring back to HEC. There's no additional cost going there. You pay HEC, you graduate from HEC, but you get 4 months of classes from a partner school. Another option to go abroad would be to do a double degree. Either you can do a double MBA. From HEC will always be an MBA, and then from the partner school, it could be an MBA or another degree. For example, we have a partnership with Sciences Po where you would get a MPA, Master of Public Administration, or with a school in the USA, Georgetown, for a law degree. So you can find all the details on the website, and you can, of course, get back to myself or one of my colleagues in the recruitment team to get all the details on the program you have an interest for.
Super. At the same time, following this curriculum, you also have the opportunity to do career events. So I'm going to go a lot deeper into the Career Center and what's offered. But what's also unique is you can study a new language. So we do require graduates to learn at least one new language while in the program at the level based on their professional goals. So if you're hoping to work in Paris after you finish and you're not speaking French already, we do recommend that you take an intermediate to advanced French and that you end up at the end with an ability to speak and work in business. Did you follow any languages, Sally?
Yes, I've been taking French classes since I've been here. I did speak French already before I arrived, but of course, I could use some developing. So it's been really nice. I've been taking French classes since I arrived, and I plan to continue till the end as well.
Super.
Okay, yeah, that's a good thing to say. Like, you don't need to speak French when you come, but if you want to learn, of course, we encourage that. And we have group of different levels. So you could be fully beginner or already advanced like Sally.
Exactly. And even further on that, if you don't speak French today and you want to join HEC Paris, start learning even before you come because it's really busy. So if you have a little bit of a basis before you come, it'll make learning even easier as you go through. I guess most people looking at HEC Paris either have an attachment to France or dreams of living in France and all the great things that go along with it. So that's something unique about HEC Paris. We try to immerse you in the French culture and give you opportunities if you wish to interact and get to know the country and the language a little better. So we just talked about the French classes. You can do French for business, you can do your CV, negotiation, or some students just choose to learn, how to order a croissant in a restaurant and get by, and that's fine. It's really based on your goals, and we accompany you and offer you the right levels based on that. I mentioned earlier that we have the wine and cheese event for all students to help you understand cheeses and wines better. We do a garden party in our chateau, typically once a year. Soirée gastronomie française. Maybe we can ask Jeanne more about these ones. And then we have global speaker series. We have trips to luxury companies and so much more. But I don't know if either of you want to add a French event that touched you. Maybe the event at the Louvre. Did you participate in that, Sally? The escape game?
No,
not
I
yet.
don't think I did. I actually didn't even hear about that. That sounds amazing. I wish I
hope
did.
it's not a secret. No, I think we did a story on it recently, so I think it's coming up for you. Basically, what we introduced was a new leadership activity, and it takes place inside of the Louvre Museum, and it's kind of a final moment at the end of the MBA. You can read more about it on our blog, but it's pretty cool that that's one of the things that you get to do while you're here. We have a French house of alumni, or where alumni gather in Paris as well. And it's just this beautiful, typical French property overlooking the Grand Palais. So again, we host events for our MBAs there, and you get more in touch with the city. Jeanne, did you have anything that I forgot or mispronounced?
No, gastronomy, but basically the idea is, like, as Sarah and Sally said, HEC tries to help you discover French culture. You will have around 8-10% French classmates in your class, and they also do their best to help you settle in France, discover France. Last year, during the integration weeks, there was already many things planned by the school and by the MBA council, etc. But the French students also added extra activities. Like they took their classmates to a show in Paris that was done in English. They took them around Paris for like a little hunt and discovered that they're organized by a group of like 7-8 people to go and visit the city. They can also like guide you later when you want to organize holidays all together. And overall, yes, it's just I'm thinking about this event that you mentioned at the Alumni House in Paris, where there was a wine tasting and explanation about how each wine in France is produced, and it was done with one of the alumni chapter group of Paris, I think. I remember we did that.
Great. Next, we're going to talk about one of the sort of standouts of HEC. So we believe that you can't just learn how to be a leader in a book. Most students are coming to the MBA program to develop their leadership skills and learn more about how to manage or lead teams and or inspire others. So you see a picture there. That's of our Sincere Leadership Seminar. That's Sebastian, actually, and he's building a bridge. And you can't see below it, there's a swamp that you can fall in if your bridge collapses. So the point of this is that you are put into teams or groups, very diverse teams, once again, of about 10 to 12 students, and you're assigned a mentor. The mentor will choose for each activity, so there's a series of activities over 2 days, someone to lead the team. They'll explain what they're supposed to do. So they'll say, Sebastian, you need to teach your team how to build this bridge. It's quite stressful because it's a situation where, you know, you're uncomfortable, the weather's not always great, and it's something that you've probably never done before. It's your duty to teach all of your classmates how to build this bridge, and you're going to have people coming from different countries and professional backgrounds. So you might have an engineer trying to take over and tell you how a bridge should be built. You might have somebody from architecture that wants it more aesthetic or beautiful. And then you'll have people just from everywhere coming at leading a team, participating in a team differently. Every year there is a bridge that might collapse, but it's not a problem, and it's not the point of the exercise necessarily to build the best bridge. It's to learn about yourself as a leader. So when you're finished, the mentor will take you aside, and he or she will explain, this is what you did well, this is what could be improved. And then you actually have real examples and leadership skills and things, weaknesses and strengths that you can improve on, and speak to recruiters. So when we speak to recruiters, they really understand how we're training students to be leaders and what skills we've given them. We host the largest Olympics in Europe on our campus. So it's 3 days of sports, usually around 20 schools come. It's all.
Yes. Hi, Sarah.
And we also have tech, a mentorship program. So maybe Jeanne.
I think, Sarah, you're cutting a little bit. If you want, I will give a quick word.
Are you guys there?
Yes, we're here.
Oh,
do you want me to give a few more details on MBA tournament or TEC? Yes. Okay. I'm not sure what you wanted, but maybe I'll just say a few words on the MBA tournament, and then we can go on. So I think MBA tournament is like as a super event. It's happening every year. It's been 30 years. It's always on HEC campus, and it's the largest gathering of MBA students in Europe. So I was mentioning before about the large green campus we have, and we actually organize that sport event on our campus. But it's not only a sport competition. So the idea, it's a sport competition 1,500 to 2,000 students from top MBA schools around the world coming to HEC campus. Any sport you could imagine, from like paintball to swimming, climbing, running, etc. It also involves a lot of partying, like 2 big parties on campus with dance competition, a band music contest. Every school will have their band, etc. And then it ends with a fancy gala party in Paris. What's really cool is, like, when you are at HEC, not only you get to enjoy this event, participate, play a sport, have fun with top MBA classmates, but you also get to organize the event. It's a major event planning. It's a €500,000 budget, and you need to do everything from safety on campus to finding food, accommodation, dealing with operation for this large-scale event. So no matter what is your interest, there's a way you can get involved in that. You can design a new app to follow the scores of the different games. You can find new suppliers for the football team T-shirt. You can make the event more sustainable than the year before. So there's so many things you could do. It's really fun, and I really encourage you to try to discuss with current HEC students or alumni, and you'll see that usually it's a really good memory for them. Sarah or Sally, do you want to add something on this? I don't know if Sarah is still connecting or if the connection is quite slow, maybe.
Super.
No, I think for me, the MBA was something that we were really looking forward to as well. It unfortunately happens in May, so it didn't happen this year for us, but I think we'll get our second chance.
I think it's okay now. Okay, is everything okay with you guys?
Yes, I think you're back with us, Sarah. And yes, Sally, hopefully next year, I think you will all be invited to join. And it's really a shame that this year it couldn't happen due to the situation, but the event will be even better next year. So I think Sarah is joining again. In the meantime, I want to highlight another cool opportunity regarding leadership. It's called TEC, the Executive Committee. Basically, we try to make the best use of the great network of managers and CEOs we have at HEC. This is a ranking we're proud of, with number 3 in the world from the number of alumni who became CEOs at some point. And we try to use those connections to have this cool mentoring program called TEC. So basically, it's selective within the MBA. Around 30 students get selected for that after applying. And you get a monthly meeting with CEOs. So you sign an NDA, but basically you can discuss with them the key strategic question they have. They can open their network to you, or just like you can have an open discussion with CEOs. So that is pretty cool. I think Sarah is back with us now to be able to talk about the career path. Can you hear us properly, Sarah? Okay, well, maybe Sally, we can, so I just wanted to do a quick introduction. During the MBA program, every Friday, yes, the PowerPoint is still up, so I think people
I can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes. So during your curriculum, actually, every Friday will not be a day where you have proper class as Monday to Thursday. Every Friday will be dedicated to career activities. You'll be meeting career coach, you'll be having individual meeting with them, you'll be having small group meeting, and you'll be having plenty of networking events with company, with alumni. You'll get also session to practice and develop your soft skills. So it's all organized on your Fridays to really help you think about what you've done so far, what are you happy with, what you would like to do after, and how to make this happen, and design, plan A, plan B, etc. Maybe, Sally, do you want to share a little bit about what has been your career support experience with HEC?
Yeah, absolutely. I think actually one of my highlights was in the first few weeks around orientation. We do go through like a few kind of base courses, but we also go through, I think, like a 3-day career-focused kind of workshop. And it was really interesting because it went through everything from CV writing to public speaking. And then we also had a few really interesting kind of introspective work, which I think is some of the most important things that we can be doing in the MBA, is being very thoughtful about our own kind of self-development. So for me, this was one of the most rewarding kind of experiences. We had different coaches come in and kind of do different activities and different assessments to understand what we enjoy in a job, kind of come up with our plan A, plan B, et cetera, sort of positions. And this was, I think, very, very useful to have, especially at the beginning of your journey, because you'll be exposed to so much throughout that it's really nice to kind of have a solid base and a sense of structure to kind of experience that you're about to embark on. So this was definitely my highlight, I think.
Great. So yeah, as they mentioned, we feel that it's very important to get to know yourself, to understand your transferable skills, how those can match. If there's somewhere that you want to go and it's not all, how do you get the right skills and the right story to get there, that you take career classes. We force you to think about these things before the end of the program. And that's one of the unique things about careers. I'll just go through a couple of the career slides quite quickly now so that we can get to your questions. I hear that there's a lot of questions. We did talk about internships. They are possible. You can choose an MBA project or an internship. You can do a summer internship or an internship at the end of your program. Sally, are you planning on doing a summer internship, or do you have other exciting plans going on?
No plans for the summer. I think there's been a lot of difficulties in the summer with what's going on, but there is, as it says here, the opportunity as well in the winter. If you're in the September intake, you can also do it from January to May. So this is looking to be something that I will pursue. But in the summer, potentially some entrepreneurial projects or something like that, so it doesn't go to waste.
And sometimes it's
Exciting,
good to take a couple of weeks, like to rest before going back on more classes, and also because you don't do an internship right now, you have the chance to take more electives. So it's really like your own choice in the program too. There's many options.
Perfect. Most students will ask us about ROI or the sort of employment stats. So this year, for the most recent graduating class.
I think, Sarah, you're cutting again. Do you want me
not
to?
The class that's graduating tomorrow, but last year's class, we had 92% employed 3 months after graduation. And I wouldn't get too caught up in these numbers. I would think more about your personal goals, what you want to achieve. Of course, you want to make sure that you're able to pay back your MBA when you finish, but I would think more about the personal development and goals that you want to achieve when you get out of the program. 3 quick stories. So we're quite proud of the fact that students are easily able to transform. So over 40% of the students from our program function and geography. We have a couple of students here. So we have Pierre, who was able to land a great internship, and now he's currently working full-time at a new job in the UK. So he is able to change regions and also industry. And then we have Mariana and Harsha. So we're happy to talk to you. We don't have colleagues. They're able to talk to you about sort of what's been possible in the past, what you're able to do, and more. And then lastly, what can happen here is it's just to show you the diversity of recruiters. So if industry is going a little off or they're not hiring this year, for example, you're chasing finance, then you have a lot of opportunities to do finance. You also have a super network. So we'll talk about the Alumni Network, but your classmates. So you have this incredible, smart people around you who had amazing professional experiences before the MBA, and they're all there to support you, in addition to our alumni network of over 60,000. Sally or Jeanne, before, because I think we want to get to...
Okay, I think there's a little bit. I think Sarah wanted to mention that the alumni network is really strong. It's organized by chapter in every country. After the discussion, you'll be able to go on our website and to download that little brochure, the employment report, in which you can find all the detailed statistics about like the first job after graduation, what our graduates are doing, which industry, which country, which sector. You'll find all the details. Overall, we have around 40% of the class who's doing triple jump, changing everything, around 60% who's changing country, and more than 75 changing function or sector. I think now we can move to the Q&A if you want. So I encourage you all to ask the questions, and we'll be taking them from now. Also, I encourage you to go on our website. You can find a little if you type connect with us, HEC Paris MBA, you'll find a little form that I encourage you to fill, and it will arrive in my mailbox or my colleagues. So we can have a look at your profile and provide personalized feedback. And from now on, we can start the discussion, providing you with tips for your application essays or contact of current students of Sally and her classmates. Okay, so now if you have any questions, are we happy to answer them now? Oh, okay, I see a question here. For those who intend to pursue a career in Europe, how do you see the job market for your non-European graduates? Does HEC Paris have a career department to assist with their placement? So yes, we have a career service that is composed of many career coaches. They're here to help you make your profile the best possible. They're here to help you prepare your job application, job interview, and they're here to provide guidance. How does it look for non-European to secure a job in Europe? This is something we see happening a lot. To give you a few figures, last year in the class, we had 23% European students. And after graduation, we had 60% of our graduates working in Europe for the first job. So it means a lot of non-Europeans managed to secure a job in Europe. I would say there's several things that helps to do that. One of the reasons is also that the French government provides you with a one-year visa to stay around after graduation. So basically after graduation, you can stay around, look for a job. And then once you find an MBA level job, it's quite easy to get a visa in France. You can fill in the paperwork by yourself. It's not very expensive. So all the conditions for visa are pretty good. And the network we have from HEC plus the career support you'll find from the alumni networks and from the career team will help you secure that job. But of course, sometimes there's a much better work opportunity back home. So it's really your choice. Okay, another question. The criteria for selection for exchange program. We really want to encourage everyone to have access to all opportunities. So for the exchange program, we try to be the most fair we can. So we basically will base that more on, we have plenty of seats for exchange program. We have enough seats for everyone wants to go somewhere, but we don't always have enough seats for everyone if you all want to go to the same partner university. Let's imagine we welcome 5 students from National University of Singapore, then 5 can go there. If we welcome 2 from Yale, 2 can go there. So we'll base that more on a lottery system. But you can apply for an exchange in term 3 and again in term 4, so they can maximize your chances. And we have a lot of partners, so that can help as well. So I have a questions about the different masters we offer in HEC, like the master in management. So everything we're discussing, I mean, how the school is international, how the network is strong, how the career support is strong, will be, of course, valid for all our programs. But the way career support is incorporated in the curriculum, or the specificity for the application, the average age in the class, the diversity of the profiles in the class can vary from a program to another. So master in management applicants are usually younger, less experienced, and are looking after graduation for younger level job, junior level job, rather than our MBA students who are 6 years work experience in average. I'm reading the... Okay, so the question, so Sarah, are you back with us? Is the connection okay? Yes? Okay, so I'm reading the question about the difference between September and January intake program. Is there more particular time favorable for placement? September and January intakes are exactly the same. The only difference will be that you take class 4 months apart, and the order of term 3 and term 4, which is like electives and specialization, are reversed. But you have exactly the same chances for everything. Both intakes.
I don't know. I have the fiber, but it's not working. So I think
it's okay, Sarah. No worries. I will keep the questions. So basically, there's no difference between September and January intake. Both our students, when we look at graduation figures, the first job, how much money people make, etc. It's all the same for September and January intake. So you have similar chances. The only difference maybe is that if you want to look for an internship in the first summer during your MBA is that, of course, if you arrive in January, you need to be a little bit more ready to apply soon for an internship, rather than if you started a few months before, you get a little bit more time to chill and understand what's happening. That's the only difference. Would you like to add something, Sally, maybe?
No, I think that's probably the biggest distinction. The only other distinction, I think, with the September intake in your term 4, you have the choice between the doing a specialization or an exchange. And so if you don't end up going on exchange in a previous term, then you kind of have to make that trade-off. But with January, you have the ability to do your specialization, and then also you can then do an exchange afterwards as well. And so I mean, I think the trade-off is like something to note. You kind of have a little bit more flexibility in some sense.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question here about the opportunities in other parts of Europe after an MBA at HEC. So last year, to give you an idea, after graduating from HEC Paris MBA, for the first job, 32% of the class secured a job in Europe outside of France. So definitely, we have also a strong network in Europe outside of France. The brand recognition from HEC is strong in Europe and growing. The biggest alumni network we would have in Europe outside of France would be first in the UK, and then a little bit everywhere. We have a stronger and growing number of alumni in Germany, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Switzerland. That will also depend, which industry or which sector. But yes, European countries are recruiting HEC graduates all around Europe. We have just a few minutes left. Do we have any other question? Okay, how does HEC view diversity? Do you want to take that question, Sally?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is something that we touched on in the beginning as well, but it's definitely something that I feel is one of the most notable things that I noticed about the university. And it's honestly, I think one of the things that I enjoy the most about the university. There truly is a huge diversity, as I said, both in terms of regional backgrounds as well as business backgrounds. You will definitely find someone who you've never encountered that kind of experience before, or never encountered that background before. And the school does, I think, a really good job of also integrating us. So as Sarah mentioned in the beginning, we get put into work groups, and they're very thoughtful in those work groups of putting people from specific backgrounds and specific industries. So you will always have very kind of diverse way of thinking, and you're very exposed to one another. So I think it's something that HEC handles exceptionally well.
Thank you very much, Sally, for explaining this. So I think it will be the time to wrap up the session. Before we close the session, first, I want to thank you all for your attendance. Thank you, Sally, for participating. Sincere apologies from Sarah's. There was a little bug on the internet, but these days we're all working from home, so for a few more days at least. So sometimes this happens, so we're sorry about that. As said, we'll be very happy to help you out and guide you in the application. So you're welcome to go on our website, HEC Paris MBA, connect with us, fill in the quick form. You can put your CV there if you want, or just fill the form. And we'll be, Lisbeth, Colleen, Araceli, and I will be happy to have a look at your profile and provide feedbacks, tips, and contacts. So have a good day, everyone. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Sally, again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.